Alright friends, so today I got a little video for you guys on how to set up your journal for our little daily doodle assignment. So what you're going to need for this project, of course, is your journal. Here's mine here. Drink water. You're also going to need a pencil, some kind of straight edge. Doesn't need to be a ruler. It can be an index card. It can be a folded piece of paper. Anything. Edge of a binder, something like that will also work. And either a pen, can be any color. This one's black. Or better yet, a Sharpie. This one is also black, but could be blue, could be green. That's completely up to you. So to get this started, there are a couple of ways to go about this. I'm going to start with a simple one, and then I'm going to show you guys kind of a different approach if that's something you'd like to do. So I'm going to set this aside here. I'm going to go to my journal, and I'm going to go to my next open page or my first open page. And for us, or for me, that's going to be right after this little drawing I did, or we all did in class. Alright, so I have this page here. Now, my journal is 5.5 by 8.5, and everyone's journal is going to be a little different, but regardless, this process is going to work for any person. Now, what we're wanting to do here is we're wanting to create 20 boxes, so that'll be 20 spaces, and we want to fill our space, pretty well. We want it to be pretty well. The way to do this, the simplest, is to create a grid that is 5 spaces by 4 spaces. So that's going to mean our grid is going to look a little bit like this. Alright, dividing something into 4 is fairly simple. Dividing into 5 is a little more difficult. So let's start with the 4 and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we want to do our 4 spaces along the shortest edge. The easiest way to go about this is to divide this page in half first. Alright, I'm going to show you a trick on how to do that, and you're going to do this by simply folding your page. Now you don't need to press all the way down. If you just lightly press on the corners, the top and the bottom, just lightly press, what's going to happen is there's going to be this slight crease line. What I'll do is I'll set my straight edge into or where those lines are, and I'll use my pencil to draw a nice straight line. And I can do that again for both sides. Actually, I can kind of fold here, kind of press down a little bit, right, and that'll give me that, and I can, oddly enough, do the same thing here. Let me draw this line first. Right, so that's a way. I could also, by using what I've done the first time, I can see my little fold marks here, so I could actually make a mark with a pencil on the page below it. So I've got a little dot I made right there and a little dot I made right here, and that's from where I kind of line this up. And it might be hard to see, but right there where that little fold is, that little crease from where I made this line, I can place my straight edge on both dots and I can draw a line. Now if I measured these, I almost guarantee they'd be almost exactly the same. Now you can, speaking of measuring, take this, measure it out, divide it by 4, but that can get a little difficult, especially if you have an odd sized journal. Alright, so that is me dividing by 4. Now let's do the 5 way. Now, this one, not quite as easy. You can't really fold, especially along the edge here, but finding the center is a good place to start. And I'm going to do this similar to what I just did. I'm just gonna kind of make a little note here on where the center of this is going to be at. Now, if I think of something that's divided 5, I need to draw 4 lines, right? But leaving equal spaces in the middle. So there'll be a space in the center, and then 2 on either side, like wings. For this, again, you could take a measurement, divide it out. If you have a dot journal, you could count dots if you're kind of set up like that in that mindset. Or you can just kind of like feel your way around. We know about the shape of this, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna draw a couple of lines here. Let's see what I think about them. Yeah, that's a little wide, but I think it'll be okay. Let's see here. So now I need to have, once I get the center one, it's pretty simple. I'm going to divide this in half, and then divide this in half, right? And now I have 20 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 4. 20 boxes that are relatively the correct size. Now, once I'm done with my pencil and I know I'm good and I'm happy, I can take my Sharpie with my straight edge, go over my lines, or use a pen to do the same thing. And this will set up your calendar page or your doodle page for this month's doodles. So this is the easy way to go about this. 20 boxes, super simple. Now, if you would like a more challenging version of this, I want to give you the opportunity to at least show you how that works, and kind of show you what I plan on doing in my journal, if you would like something like that. Now, we're going to do 20 doodles. That's one a day for a month, essentially, or one a school day, I'll say. And this grid system is a great way to go about this. It's the easiest way to go about this. But I also, being art students, don't want to stifle your creativity. So if you'd like to choose a different shape, maybe something like circles, or I had a few students want to do like a rounded square, you may modify this in any way you see fit. What I've done is I've made a template. Let me grab it real quick. That fits 20 boxes into a pattern that I cut out of thick paper. And this, it becomes a stencil that I can then trace in to my sketchbook. And I can keep it at the back of my journal here forever and ever. And that way, anytime I do these or I want to make one, I have access to it. I'll show you how this works. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. And you may notice that there's some extra spots. And what I plan to do with those extra spots with my beehive shape is, I'll show you a past example, is I kind of just fill them in with a color. Maybe it's the color of the month. Maybe it's just a color that I feel might tie stuff together. But that's kind of my plan here. If you're curious on how to do something complicated like this, or even make a stencil, the easiest way to go about this is to use a transfer method, similar to ones we've talked about in class before, and to take something maybe you printed off or maybe something you drew, and to trace it or transfer it onto a thicker paper, or to trace it into your journal straight away. This may be difficult to see through on the camera, but where I drew it out or printed it out, I can see through my pages, and I can easily trace over my lines, right? And then once I get them all drawn in, I can go over them with marker and have a nice kind of filled in grid system. If you're wanting to make a cutout, a stencil, you got to do the work. It takes time, but essentially you'll be removing all of these little sections from this to turn this into this. And I just did this with an X-Acto knife and a cutting mat. You always want a cutting mat if you're using an X-Acto knife. But this is the case, and like I said, this is how I'm going to be using mine, so don't freak out if you see a beehive pattern in my book. That doesn't mean you're doing yours wrong. That's just a different way to go about it. So hopefully you guys will go and get your grid drawn out. You need 20 boxes, and yeah, be on the lookout for a calendar. I'll see you soon.